So this is the Gylfaginning section 2. So you'll notice we're not starting with 1, and we're going to skip around a lot. So that's a mixture between some sections are not really available, or also some of them are just not important to what we need to know, so we're going to skip some of them. King Gylfi was a wise man and skilled in magic. He was much troubled that the Asir people were so cunning that all things went according to their will. He pondered whether this might proceed from their own nature, or whether the divine powers which they worshipped might ordain such things. He set out on his way to Asgard, going secretly, and clad himself in the likeness of an old man, with which he dissembled. But the Asir were wiser in this matter, having second sight, and they saw his journeying before ever he came, and prepared against him deceptions of the eye. When he came into the town, he saw there a hall so high that he could not easily make out the top of it. Its thatching was laid with golden shields after the fashion of a shingled roof. In the hall doorway, Gylfi saw a man juggling with anlaces, swords, having 7 in the air at one time. This man asked of him his name. He called himself Gangleri, and said he had come by the paths of the serpent, and prayed for lodging for the night, asking, "Who owns the hall?" The other replied that it was their king, and I will attend thee to see him. Then shalt thou thyself ask him concerning his name. The man wheeled about before him into the hall, and he went after, and straightway the door closed itself on its heels. There he saw a great room and much people, some with games, some drinking, and some had weapons and were fighting. Then he looked about him, and thought unbelievable many things which he saw. He saw 3 high seats, each above the other, and 3 men sat thereon, one on each. And he asked what might be the name of these lords. And he who had conducted him answered that the one who sat on the nethermost high seat was a king, and his name was Har, or High. But the next is named Janhar, just as high, and he who is uppermost is called Thridi, or third. Then Har asked the newcomer whether his errand were more than for the meat and drink which were always at his command, as for every one there in the hall of the High One. He answered that he first desired to learn whether there were any wise man there within. Okay, so that's the conclusion of section 2. Here's what you need to know. King Gylfi is the main character, but you'll notice at some point he decided to disguise himself as an old man. So he literally transformed his body into an old man, and when asked partway through this section what his name was, he lied. He didn't say my name's King Gylfi. He said I'm Gangleri. So that's the same person. He's just going into disguise. What he's doing is going to this hall. He thinks he's going to trick these gods, these 3 guys, into giving him all kinds of answers, and he does get answers from them. But it's said right in the first paragraph, basically, they can see, they already know this is what's going to happen. It's not they had second sight, so they can literally they know he's the king. His disguise is meaningless to them, and they're sitting in this room, and he's just going to ask them a bunch of questions.